The TSA agent's hand froze on the metal detector as the machine erupted in urgent beeps. Inside the old man's worn leather bag, something metallic gleamed under the X-ray scanner. "Sir, we need to search this immediately," she said, unaware that what she was about to discover would leave the entire airport security team speechless. Robert Hayes was 78 years old, his back slightly hunched, his hair completely white. His clothes were clean but old, pants and shirt that had once been quality but showed years of wear. There was a slight limp in his walk, traces of an old injury to his right leg. To most people, he was just an elderly passenger who needed to be handled carefully. But if the small metal box that Robert Hayes carried could tell the story of who he was, everyone in that airport would have been standing and applauding. Robert had gone to Vietnam in 1965, when he was just 19 years old. Young, idealistic, full of desire to serve his country. Like many young men of that era, he didn't really know what war meant. He just wanted to do his duty. He served 3 tours in Vietnam. His first tour as an infantryman, his second as a sergeant, his third as a squad leader. Each tour, he lost friends. Each tour, he saw friends go home. And each tour, he prepared for the next mission. In late 1968, during the Tet Offensive, Robert's unit fell into a heavy ambush. Surrounded, ammunition running low, wounded friends lying bleeding. Robert made a choice that day. He put himself at risk and carried 3 wounded friends to safety. Once, twice, 3 times he passed through enemy fire. During the 3rd rescue operation, shrapnel hit his right leg, but he didn't stop. He continued until he had carried the last wounded friend to safety. That day, Robert Hayes saved 3 lives, and that day, his life was forever changed. He spent 6 months in the hospital. The metal fragments in his leg were never removed. He could walk, but felt pain with every step. Worse still, the nightmares he had at night, the voices of lost friends, the scars that war had left on his mind. When he returned home, nothing was the same as before. The streets were the same, the houses the same, the people the same, but he wasn't. The weight he carried inside, what he had seen, what he had lived through, what he had lost, no one understood. In time he learned to live. He married, had children, continued his job, but every year on the same dates, he would go to Washington to commemorate his lost friends, to the Vietnam Veterans Memorial, to read the names on the wall, to leave flowers, to remember. On these journeys, he always carried the same metal box, a small, plain box that didn't look very valuable, but what was inside was the most precious thing in the world to him. That box contained the last pieces left from the friends he had lost in the war. Dog tags, small photographs, pieces of letters, a cigarette pack, a music box. Each one a story, each one a life, each one a moment he would never forget. That Tuesday morning at Denver International Airport, Robert approached security with his usual calm and polite manner. He took off his shoes, put down his jacket, placed his bag on the conveyor, and of course, that small metal box too. TSA Agent Michelle Rodriguez was 28 years old, with 3 years of experience in her job, a woman who followed rules to the letter. When she saw the metal box on the X-ray monitor, her training kicked in. Metal objects had to be carefully examined, their contents determined, searched by hand if necessary. "Sir," Michelle called out to Robert, "is this box yours?" "Yes, officer." "What's inside?" Robert hesitated for a moment. He answered this question dozens of times every year, but it was equally difficult every time. "Memories," he said quietly. Michelle's suspicions increased. Vague answers, according to security protocols, required more detailed examination. "Sir, I need to open the box." Robert nodded. "Of course, go ahead." Michelle took the metal box and carried it to a separate table. While other passengers waited in line, Robert stood calmly to the side. He had experienced this scene before. He knew he would have to explain. When Michelle opened the box, the first thing she saw were dog tags. Metallic, military identification tags. Then, small photographs, letters, personal items. She understood that these were military materials, but still couldn't grasp why. "Sir, what are these?" "Memories of my lost friends," Robert answered slowly. "From Vietnam." Michelle's expression changed. The word Vietnam made her pause. She remembered that her father was also a Vietnam veteran, but she needed to complete the procedure. "Who do these dog tags belong to?" Robert approached the box. He showed each dog tag one by one. "This is David Miller's. He was 20 years old, from Texas. This is Tommy Chen's, 19 years old, from California. This is Marcus Washington's, 21 years old, father of 3 children. Michelle's voice softened. How did you get these? They wanted them with me when I was trying to save them. They told me to take them home. But I couldn't take any of them home, only these memories. Meanwhile, other TSA agents began to approach. Supervisor John Martinez had noticed the situation. Long lines were forming. Passengers were starting to get restless. Rodriguez, what's the problem? Martinez approached. Sir, this gentleman is carrying military items, dog tags, photographs. Martinez looked at Robert. The old man's calm demeanor, the deep expression in his eyes told him something. Sir, are these items yours? Martinez asked. No, Robert replied. They belong to friends who are no longer alive. Martinez frowned. He had encountered this type of situation before. Veterans sometimes carried their friends' belongings, but rules were rules. Sir, can you prove that these items belong to you? Robert pulled out a worn leather wallet from his pocket. He took out folded old papers from inside. Military discharge papers, medal certificates, official documents. Martinez examined the documents: Vietnam Service Medal, Bronze Star, Purple Heart, and at the bottom, Distinguished Service Cross, one of America's highest military honors. Sir, Martinez's voice had changed. You hold the Distinguished Service Cross? Yes. For what action? Robert took a deep breath. He never liked telling the story, but it was necessary. 1968, Tet Offensive. My unit was ambushed. I rescued 3 wounded friends. These friends, he pointed to the box. Martinez now understood. This man wasn't just a passenger. He was a war hero, and this box was a sacred responsibility he carried. But procedures were still in effect. Security control had to be completed. Sir, I understand, but I still need to check all the items. Robert nodded. Of course. Martinez carefully examined each item in the box. Dog tags, photographs, pieces of letters, a small music box, a cigarette pack, each one a small piece from someone's life. Meanwhile, murmurs began among the waiting passengers. Some said how long the old man was being kept waiting, that this wasn't fair. This is too much, said one of the waiting female passengers. The old man is just trying to board a plane. You're right, said the young man behind her. This procedure is taking too long. What made Michelle and Martinez's job difficult was the increasing social pressure. But security protocols were the same for everyone. When Martinez finished the examination, he decided that all items were safe, but he wanted to do one more thing. Sir, he turned to Robert, I have a question for you. Do you make this trip every year? Yes, for 15 years. Every Memorial Day I go to Washington. I visit my friends. To the Vietnam Veterans Memorial? Yes. Martinez took a deep breath. His own uncle was also a Vietnam veteran. He understood what this man was doing meant. Sir, what will you do with the items in this box? I'll take them to the wall. I'll place them next to their names. I'll talk to them. When I return home, I'll take them back. I'll carry them with me until next year. Martinez's eyes filled. This man wasn't just carrying old items. He was keeping alive the memory of people he loved. Rodriguez, he turned to Michelle. Direct this gentleman to VIP processing. Sir? This gentleman holds the Distinguished Service Cross. He's one of America's heroes. He deserves the utmost respect. Michelle understood. Of course, sir. Robert was surprised. This isn't necessary. I can go through normal procedure. No, sir, Martinez insisted. Beyond necessary. This is right. Directed to VIP processing, Robert advanced under the curious gazes of other passengers. But now the looks were different, respectful, understanding. While waiting at the gate area, Martinez couldn't restrain himself. He took his radio and called airport management. This is security. We have a special situation at Gate 24. We have a Vietnam veteran who holds the Distinguished Service Cross. He's going to Washington for a Memorial Day visit. The response came immediately. Understood. Appropriate respect will be shown. While Robert was waiting at the gate area, a young woman sitting next to him started a conversation. Excuse me, I saw you at security. Is everything okay? Robert smiled. Yes, thank you. Just routine control. If you don't mind me asking, what was that box? They were being very careful with it. Robert hesitated for a moment. Then he showed the metal box. Memories of friends I lost in Vietnam. I'm taking them to Washington. The woman's expression changed. Are you a Vietnam veteran? Yes. My God, this is so important. Thank you. Thank you for your service. Meanwhile, an announcement was made over the airport intercom. Dear passengers, today we have a very special guest among us. Vietnam War veteran Robert Hayes is traveling to Washington to commemorate his lost friends. We offer our respect to Mr. Hayes, who holds the Distinguished Service Cross. The terminal fell silent. Then, an applause was heard. then another. Then the entire gate area was standing and applauding. Robert was surprised. He hadn't expected this much attention. He just stood up and politely bowed his head. When it was time to board, the staff at the gate showed him special attention. "Mr. Hayes, we've made a special arrangement for you. In the first class section, this isn't necessary. I have a regular ticket. Airport management's request. Please accept." On the plane, Robert sat in his window seat, the metal box in his lap, his friends beside him, as always. As the plane took off, as Denver's landscape remained below, Robert thought about the past, his youth, the war, his losses, returning home. And today. Today was different for him. For the first time, people had heard and understood his story. For the first time, the burden he carried had been noticed by others. The flight attendant approached him. "Mr. Hayes, would you like something to drink?" "Water would be fine, thank you." "Mr. Hayes, may I ask? This box seems really important." Robert looked at the box. "Yes, very important. It contains the last pieces of my lost friends. I take them to Washington every year. I visit them." "That's amazing. What does this mean for them?" "Knowing they're not forgotten. Knowing someone remembers them. Remembering that they weren't just soldiers who died in war, but human beings." The attendant silently nodded. "That's very meaningful." When they arrived in Washington, there was an unexpected welcome at the airport. A small group of people holding American flags were waiting for Robert. An elderly man from among them approached. "Mr. Hayes, I'm Thomas Miller, David Miller's father." Robert froze. David Miller, one of the dog tags in his box, the young soldier, lost his life at age 20. "David's father?" "Yes, we saw your situation on the news today. We learned that you still carry my son's belongings. For the first time in 50 years, I met someone who remembers my son." Thomas Miller's eyes were filled. "Would you tell me about my son?" Robert opened the metal box and took out David's dog tag. "David was a good soldier. He protected his friends. On our last day, he gave me this tag. He told me to take him home." "Were you able to take him home?" "No," Robert's voice broke. "But I took his tag. I visited his name every year. I talked to him every year." Thomas Miller hugged Robert. Two old men shared a 50-year-old pain. "Thank you," Thomas whispered. "Thank you for not forgetting my son." That day, at the Vietnam Veterans Memorial, Robert wasn't alone. Thomas Miller was beside him. He had brought David's mother too, and Marcus Washington's daughter had come too. She had heard the news, researched, found him. In front of the wall, in front of the names, Robert performed his usual ritual. But this time, families were beside him. For the first time, the lost soldiers weren't just names, they were human. That evening, at the hotel, Robert opened the metal box and arranged the items inside on the table. But this time it was different. Now these items weren't just memories, they were connections, they were love, they were remembrance. When he returned to the hotel, the desk clerk handed him an envelope. "Mr. Hayes, this is a message that came from the airport this morning." Robert opened the envelope. It was a letter from TSA Supervisor Martinez. "Dear Mr. Hayes, it was a great honor to meet you today. The responsibility you carry and the loyalty you show is an example for all of us. The way you keep alive the memory of your friends shows what true heroism is. Every time you come to our airport, VIP procedures will be applied. This is a small gesture, nothing compared to what you've done. With respect, John Martinez." After reading the letter, Robert smiled. People understood. Finally, people understood. That night in his dream, he saw his friends, but this time it wasn't a nightmare. David, Tommy, Marcus were beside him. They were smiling. "Thank you, Robert," they said. "Thank you for not forgetting us." The next day, on the return flight, Robert was carrying the same box again. But this time he felt different. The weight was the same, but the meaning had deepened. When he returned to Denver, the airport staff recognized him. Martinez personally greeted him. "Mr. Hayes, welcome back. How was your trip?" "Very meaningful. Thank you. Always." On his way home, Robert carried the same metal box with him. But now he wasn't carrying it alone. His story had reached thousands of people. His friend's memory was alive. And when he made the same journey next year, he knew he wouldn't be alone. David's family would come too. Marcus's daughter too. Tommy's brother too. Because forgetting grows when shared. Love increases when spread. And the heroism inspires when noticed. The metal box still stood in the same place. But now what was inside wasn't just memories. It was hope. It was connection. It was a continuing story. And Robert Hayes, at 78, finally understood that the burden he carried wasn't just his. It was the burden and responsibility of the entire society. If you enjoyed this story, click the like button and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next story.